Today's daily recap for BTG Beyond the Gates is for Thursday, April the 3rd, 2025. Thursday. Well, remember Haley, the queen of the push-up? Well, Vanessa was the queen of the lift and squeeze to pop out the front. Oh my goodness, this woman. You see that right there? Joey sat next to her. And all he was doing was looking at the girls, the top of the girls right there. Like he's, oh, you are looking particularly delicious, Vanessa. And she looked at him like, what? What are you talking about? And he goes, oh, I'm sorry. I was watching a cooking show, or I just recorded a cooking show, and so that figure of speech. So anyway, he's talking to her, and she, of course, said none of the houses really suit his mother. So she's showing him more pictures, and he's finding something wrong with everything. Okay, but they're talking. But before Joey got there, she ran into Doug, but Doug was there with Randy, and he saw Vanessa, and he goes, look, we're gonna have to cut this short because we don't need your wife asking me questions. So Randy dodges out the side, but looking all shady, and she looks at him as he walks away, like, look, you up to something, right? That's what she's thinking. So she sat down, and he goes, why did Randy leave like that? He goes, oh, he had someplace to be. And then she said something about Randy being, into shady activities. He goes, Randy's not into shady activities. She goes, you do know he works for Joey Armstrong. And Doug said, yeah, but okay. And I may have called Doug Ted earlier. Doug says, okay, that doesn't mean he's doing anything wrong. He's never done nothing illegal with Doug. He says, and on top of that, why are you so worried? You seem to be keeping company with Doug. You're not going to heed your own advice? She says, I am showing him houses. He's looking for a house to buy his mother. And so Doug says, oh, okay. She goes, there is nothing wrong with that. So anyway, Doug says, oh, I have to go. She goes, you've been working a lot of late nights again. He goes, yeah, it'll end soon, but don't expect me home tonight. What heart surgeries do you know, everybody? They go to 2 in the morning unless there's a complication. They are not scheduled during those hours, right? Unless it's a procedure that's a 24-hour procedure where they have different surgeons at different shifts coming in to take over the procedure. So anyway, she was meeting Nicole. Nicole was going to be meeting her there. They're good friends. But what's interesting to me is when the show began, Vanessa is good friends with Danny. But now Vanessa and Nicole are best friends. Nicole and Danny are not the same age. I don't know about you, but not too many sisters, unless they're twins or a year apart, max of 2 years apart, have the same friends. Usually you have your own set of friends, like the chick that played Dixie on All My Children. She's Danny's bestest friend. But at the beginning, the first episode of Beyond the Gates, this real Vanessa was the one walking in and having more scenes being Danny's friend. So anyway, Nicole saw when she walked in, there's Joey looking at all this on Vanessa, not the tablet, right? So Vanessa jumps up and says, oh, Nicole, because Nicole says, hi, isn't our lunch reservation for 3? And she goes, oh, yes, yes. And she stands up. Have you met Joey? This is Joey, Joey Armstrong. Joey is looking to buy, I'm showing him homes. And so Vanessa goes, okay. I mean, Nicole says, okay. So Joey says, you know what? He was going to take his leave. And she's just looking at him as he leaves. And Nicole says, ooh, Vanessa, you like, calm yourself. He goes, ooh. She goes, the way you looking at him as he's walking away, he goes, ooh, he looks delicious. And Nicole's just looking at her. She goes, Nicole, look, you know, I live on the wild side. She goes, I know, Vanessa, I know. However, you know the reputation Joey Armstrong has in this town. She goes, he is a sweet man. As a matter of fact, the houses that I'm showing him, he's looking for a home for his mother. And Nicole says, oh, well, that's nice. So anyway, they're talking. She says, I'm just saying, I think you need to tread lightly. And she goes, and if, Vanessa, if you feel the need to do this, why don't you just divorce Doug? She said, well, why should I? Doug and I have an arrangement and it's working. We both give each other space to do what we want to do. And so here we have Nicole saying, oh, I wouldn't know what, I couldn't imagine living a separate life from Ted. And I'm thinking, ooh, girl, yo. She goes, well, not everybody can have a fairy tale marriage like you, Nicole. And Nicole's kind of like, yeah, well, you know. But I'm just saying that be careful. So, fairy tale marriage, watch. When it comes out that Ted have had an affair when they were married and fathered a child, we're going to see how Miss Nicole handles that. There's just something, to me, disingenuous about Ted. Maybe it's, I don't know, maybe it's the actor playing Ted. To me, there's no real chemistry between those two. Uh, Maybe that's why they decided to change Ted's. Even when she came home, because she brought home Orphe jeans, those people don't eat nothing but soul food. They should be blowing up, right? They should all be overweight, eating all that soul food. But anyway, anyway, um, he swept her in his arms on the couch. And she was like, oh, and they're laughing at something about, you're just so beautiful. Because he had some young girl that wanted to be a model that wanted some plastic surgery, and he had to tell her that, he didn't recommend it. It wasn't, medically feasible for her, or he wouldn't recommend. I mean, he just wouldn't do the surgery, what she wanted him to do to her body. And so he goes, not everybody has a flawless body like yours, like my wife. And she goes, oh, and he goes, you who's never felt you've needed not 1 ounce of work. And she goes, well, when you have a, a husband that still loves the way you look when you wake up in the morning. And he goes, yes, I do, baby. And she goes, bonnet and all. And he goes, bonnet and all. And I'm thinking, ugh. So then she jumps up and sits next to him. And I thought, well, you kind of broke the mood there. You weren't going to still stay in his life, whatever. Right? Their little anniversary party at the club is going to be coming up soon. I think next week. So, they just had their minor little chit chat, nothing big going on. Now, the biggest part was the ladies. They had their official meeting now with Naomi there. And Catherine, I think her name is Catherine. She made sure they had the favorite drinks there and little pastries, Bill's assistant, and they want to make this meeting go smooth. And he says, okay, and what have you heard about Mike? And she says, well, water cooler talk. He's trying to tell everybody the allegations aren't true, but he's been having quite a few closed door meetings with other partners, you know, in the office here. Bill says, well, when you get wind of what they may be discussing, she goes, oh, they'll be in the file that only you can access. as requested. He says, okay, good, good. So anyway, they come in, the ladies come in, Naomi's first, and then the ladies arrive. He goes, oh, good, you're on time this time, Naomi. And she goes, cut the crap, counselor. You and I both know you were I was told the wrong time intentionally. She goes, now, because you decided to talk to my clients without me, I've got options. I could bring you up on sanctions. I could see if they'll slap a fine, or I could get you this. But she's just listing all the things that, you know, she could do. And he goes, Naomi, I don't handle scheduling. So if you were given the wrong time, it wasn't by me. He looked, it was by Catherine. Catherine is in charge of scheduling. So Catherine stands by the door. She looks and she goes, like, oh, shoot, is he throwing me under the bus? So she goes, Naomi, I'm sorry I mixed up the time. It was my fault. So Naomi looks at her. She goes, Catherine, we both know you did just what he told you to do. So then the ladies came and the meeting got underway. What Bill offered them was $1 million, and their eyes perked up. He said, each, and they could get their jobs back. He says, and they said, whoa, what? And so Naomi says, I have to, confer with my clients on this. And she stands up and she's like gonna usher them out so they could talk. So he goes, wait, but you haven't heard everything. I'm also going to create a a committee, a committee that oversees our sexual harassment policies, and a committee to make sure everything is being handled properly in this office. And I want you three ladies to form the committee. This way you could oversee. And they looked. So he goes, and you can, anything that comes up, you will be coming directly to me so that this never happens again. And Naomi's looking like, wow. So he goes, now I'm going to give you ladies an opportunity to, you can use my office. Don't worry, there's no hidden microphones in here. He says, but I also already had the liberty of drawing up the agreement. So you all can look it over with your attorney. So they're looking at it, and one says, oh my God, mama's going to have a new pair of shoes or a closet full of shoes. Oh, she's spending the money. And the other's like, oh, I could pay off my student loan, my debt. And then the other one says, hospital bills. So Naomi says, okay, you do know that you'll be getting this money lump sum, right? So the tax liability alone is going to be high. So it's not going to be $1 million. And they're like, yeah, but still, that's a lot of money. And so she's looking at it and she goes, And they said, have you found something, bad, negative in the contract? She says, not negative, but it's not binding as far as your employment. Yes, he says you will all get your jobs back. But there's nothing in here saying for how that you could keep them, which of course, if they really couldn't say, because they could get in there and lay up, put their feet on the desk and not do any work. You know what I'm saying? She goes, but he could turn around and fire you the very next day. But he said he'll put us on a committee so we can make sure nothing like this happens again. She says, yes, he could put you on a committee, but it doesn't mean he has to listen to any of your suggestions. She says, you all need to think. So they said, okay, Naomi, why is it you don't want us to take this settlement? because it doesn't seem like you have our best interest at heart. She says, um, yes, I do have your best interest at heart. She said, because bottom line, when you walked into this building today, how did you feel? So they sat there and they said, it felt a little uncomfortable because Mike was just glaring at us. He hates us. And we know he's going to turn all the other partners against us. And said, then they said, and then the other employees, if they find out how much money we made, they're going to resent us. And so one of them said, yeah, but nobody has to know that we got $1 million settlement. Nobody. So Naomi says, do you really think that this being a legal office, a law firm, that the contract and the terms aren't going to be filed and aren't in the computer? And they looked and they said, yeah, we'll get out. And she says, if you all are okay with the money, and I agree the money's nice, but coming back here and working in this environment where they're going to scrutinize everything you do, they are going to look for reasons to fire you. If you all are okay with that, ladies, she says, I'm okay with it. Period. And so then they show Bill smug with Catherine, say, yeah, they're gonna take it. She goes, I can't believe you offered them $1 million each. He said, Catherine, you saw the proposal. You typed it. I mean, she goes, you typed it up and you printed it. She goes, but Bill, I just didn't think it was $1 million each. And so she goes, and then the way you threw me under the bus with Naomi. And he goes, and by the way, you handled that without a hitch. You took responsibility, just like a trooper. He goes, you're getting a bonus for that. Nice bonus. So she went to sit down. She goes, it's all in a day's work, Bill. I'm protecting my interests. And he goes, oh, okay. So then you don't need that bonus. And she goes, oh, no, now the bonus is double. And he looked at her. She goes, oh, I've learned from the best from you. Now that's double. And he just goes. So anyway, when he goes back in and he says, okay, ladies, what's it going to be? Y'all ready to sign? You ready to sign? Right? And Naomi turned and she looked at him. She says, it's impressive. And he goes, yep. Trying to reach for a pen. And then Naomi goes, shh. She rips it and she goes, no deal. And she gives the Torum contract in half to him, her copy. And they stood up. She goes, let's go, ladies. And he goes, this is a good deal. She says, not necessarily. She goes, not really. She says, and I feel we're going to do much better in court. So they leave. Now, to me, she could have came back and said, now, 2 million for each, and change the firing on their records to, they voluntarily left, resigned, and they get a good recommendation. I mean, something of that sort. They don't want to really work back there, in that environment. And one of them said, especially with all the partners, because the $1 million each, which would be 3 million, is coming out of their pockets, all the partners' pockets. So they really aren't going to like them, right? So anyway, Bill says, Haley, can I speak to you in private? So she tells the ladies, Okay, ladies, you guys can go on and go ahead. We're going to meet later today to discuss, you know, the case. So then, oh, you're just doing this because you hate me. Why do you hate me so much? You're doing this because of your mother. She goes, Dad, for one thing, I don't hate you. I hate what you did to to my mother. Yes. I hate that you hooked up with my for somebody that was supposed to be my friend that I brought into our family. But no, this is the law, Dad. For as long as I can remember that book? And she said, I used to turn the pages on the floor. We have a picture. He goes, yeah, I do. You were three. I was 3 years old. She goes, I couldn't even read. But I would turn the pictures really, really slow. I mean, the pages really, really slow, because that's what I would see my dad doing every night. And as I grew up, I wanted to be just like you. You taught me the law, Dad. You taught me the law, and I am following the law. This isn't about vengeance. This is not about hating you. This is about justice for my clients. And he goes, no, no, Haley, not Haley. No, no, Naomi. This is always, and he, being dramatic. And then the frame, the camera would go black, like he's blinking out. I'm thinking, is he getting ready to have a stroke? Right? And so he's kind of shaking his hand, his right hand a little funny. And she goes, Dad? And he goes, my hand, my hand is going numb. And she goes, Dad? And I'm thinking, he's either having a mini stroke or that son of a gun better not be playing her. He better not be faking. The only reason I don't think he's faking is because they were showing us through his eyes with the everything going black and then coming back in and then going black again. So I'm thinking he's having a mini stroke. Okay, so we'll see tomorrow. That ought to be pretty good. And then, oh, Daddy, don't die. You know what's going to happen. And look, she'll still be by his side and still saying, but we still going to court when you get better. That's just Naomi. This ain't changing the case. Now, the last thing was Joey at the gambling table. So Randy, not Joey, Doug at the gambling table. Randy was out of his office, that little tiny bar that he has set up by the table, right? So Doug comes out and Randy says, how much longer are you going to let this go on? This, you see, he's already lost everything. You need to stop this. So Joey looks at Randy and he goes over to the table and he goes to Doug. He goes, Doug, can I speak to you for a minute? And Doug's looking all sweaty and, he goes, yeah, yeah. So he stands up. He goes, how's it going? He goes, oh, just a bit of bad luck right now, but I feel it. I feel my luck's about to change. And Doug says, that's a lot of bad luck. I mean, Joey says, that's a lot of bad luck. And so Doug looks at him. He goes, look, I'm not going to ask for a loan. I'm not going to ask for you to extend my credit. I'll get some of my own money because I feel it. It's getting ready to turn around. So Joey says, you know what? It's time for you. And she goes, I wasn't going to offer you a loan and I wasn't going to offer to extend your credit. It's time for you, Doug, to pay me what you owe me. And Doug just looks, um, uh, I mean, I don't have the whole thing. He goes, okay, but no, it's time for me to start collecting from you. So now he's got he's got Doug in so much debt buried. Now Doug is going to do whatever he wants him to do. And I think now we're going to find out what is Joey's real interest in Doug. Why does he need a heart surgeon? And one of the things that when Randy and Doug were at the club talking before Vanessa came in, he said, "Don't you ever really work?" He goes, "Well, when any of my staff asks, or any of the hospital staff asks, I'm reviewing a new heart machine. We're getting a new heart machine in, and I'm studying it because I'm ultimately going to have to be the one to use it." So Randy says, "But you're not studying it." He goes, "They don't know that." He goes, "But if you're not really performing any surgeries yourself without the machine," he goes, "you're not making any money, Doug." And he goes, "But I'm on a roll." You see? And he goes, "But you haven't been on a roll recently." And he looked and he goes, "Well, actually, no. He did win the night before, remember? When Joey was pissed. No, I think Joey set that up because he made Randy give the dealer, the marked cards, and Joey lost that night. Then tonight, he lost even more of his shirt. Okay. So anyway, we're gonna see how that's gonna play out with Doug. I said Joey. I'm keep mixing up Joey and Doug. Joey is Kevin from General Hospital, the owner of the gambling operation. Doug is the heart surgeon, Vanessa's husband. That's Doug. So he's lost his shirt, and we shall see what Joey's gonna make him do, right? Or his kneecaps will get broken. So that's it, everybody. That is it for the daily recap of Beyond the Gates. Let's go to Comment Corner. Comment Corner. We have Don says, "What in the world does Bill and Haley wait? What in what world does Bill and Haley live in? Why would Danny do anything to help that little must be witch? No, it ends in an E. Okay, that ruined her marriage. Seems to me Bill isn't as important as he thinks he is, unless unless Haley would be accepted because of you. Wait, because the grass is greener because Danny watered it. Bill should have enough clout. He's the one paying the country club bill. He should be, and he knows the CEO. He should be calling saying, "Unless you want me to cancel my membership, then this is what's going to happen." I think what it is Bill doesn't want the guy to say, "You know what, maybe it's best for you to go ahead and cancel. Maybe it is best for everybody else. I hear there's another good country club, 20 minutes away." He don't want to hear that, right? He would have to be wanted to bring a lawsuit against the country club for, just horrible treatment of client of paying client. Then the country club would straighten up and fly right. They would if they were going to be hit with having to pay money. So Wendy says it didn't come in. Wait, it didn't come on here in SoCal. What didn't come on here in SoCal? I don't get that part. And then Karen says, "Thanks for the recap. I didn't get to see it because of the breaking news interrupting most of the show." Oh, that's what it is, because I'm reading from the top down. There was breaking news, but it did not come in our time zone and interrupt the show. That's what was happening. And then Lucy says, "Wednesday's episode of BTG was so slow going for me, nothing of interest." Yeah, slow. Just Kay says, "I don't like how Vernon and Anita are trying to protect ungrateful Martin. They did it with Danny by demanding she goes to the wedding. Now they're doing it with Naomi to get something on uh, Bill." And then it says Dupree's. Bill is a SOB. It was funny, Danny going off about Bill and Haley and Haley's marriage. I need the writers to get rid of Ashley, Derek, and Andre's storyline. It is boring. I'm with you on that. That is 100% boring to me. And then we have Black Purple Turquoise says Danny continues to be like a dog with a bone when it comes to Bill. I hope she'll really get over him in due time because their kiss today was beyond unnecessary and just further insulting and demeaning to her. I agree with you on that. Not that it seems as though Danny cares about that. She did it. Wait, she did say if Bill dropped Haley like a hot potato tomorrow, she'd be right back with him like he never did anything to her. It's sad. I know. He's truly got her so messed up in this toxic, mentally abusive cycle they've had going on for the past 30 years. Forget a marriage. Much like Smitty and Martin, Danny and Bill will never be anything but toxic and emotionally abusive as far as I'm concerned. Lastly, Haley. The ego and audacity on this child bride keeps growing. She thinks she's in a position to demand respect when she's done nada to earn it. Then she tells Bill she doesn't want him to do anything to the Duprees or to Danny, but she goes running to him and whining and moaning about, uh, just how she's being treated so unfairly with no form of cause. Please give me a much preferred break from Bill and Haley and all their egotistical narcissistic nonsense. Yeah, I don't like the scenes with Bill and Haley. I don't like those myself either. I'm with you on that. I tend to fast forward. I really do. Ugh. But anyway, that's it. We'll see what happens to Bill. I bet you it's going to be a hospital trip. So we'll see. And he better not be playing. He better not be faking. So I'll be back tomorrow with another daily recap of Beyond the Gates.